Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. I'm your host, Man on the Moon, and on this day we will be reviewing the. Man, this is a sad one. I mean, it's a good movie, but otherwise, sad. But because while we'll be reviewing Punisher Warzone, and before we really get into it, I just want to say, um, rest in peace to the legendary actor Ray Stevenson, known for many film roles over the years, from starring in movies such as The Three Musketeers to the aforementioned Punisher Warzone. He will posthumously appear in the Disney Star Wars Ahsoka series, and yeah, he's had just an amazing career over the course of many decades in dozens of exemplary films, and he will be very dearly missed. So that's my piece. That's what I have to say. That's out of the way. We can get into starting the review for the movie. This is Moonlight Kingdom Reviews, and on today's episode, we are reviewing 2008's Marvel Knights movie, Punisher Warzone. Heck yeah. All right, now we kicking off, ladies and gentlemen. We got some much needed background on this here film. Punisher Warzone came out in 2008, released by Lionsgate Film December 5, 2008, at a runtime of 103 minutes. It came out with a budget of $35 million and a box office of $10 million. Released by Lionsgate Films. These are production companies: Lionsgate Films, Marvel Studios, Valhalla Motion Pictures, and a bunch of others I will not name, but this is a Lionsgate film. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This game came out before Punisher shot his way back into the MCU. And this was the last film this was the last Marvel movie made outside of the MCU sphere, outside of Marvel Studios sphere. Well, Marvel Studios became its own proper studio, but yeah. This was that last, truly original film outside of the MCU or Fox State or whatever. But getting into the development of it, this movie's development stretches far before 2008, as it really began in 2004 with the release of the first Punisher movie. Now, granted, Punisher Warzone isn't a straight up sequel. In my eyes, it's more or less a spiritual successor to, it's a spiritual sequel, not a successor, it's a spiritual sequel to the first Punisher movie, as opposed to a direct one, as we'll read now. In February of 2004, 2 months before the Punisher's release, Lionsgate announced that there was an intent to make a sequel. Avi Arad, the chairman and CEO of Marvel Studios, expressed interest in developing the franchise, saying that the second film would become the fifth Marvel property to become a sequel. Yeah, that was true. In March, the director of the first film, Jonathan Hensley, said that he was interested in working with Thomas Jane again for Punisher 2. And in April, Thomas Jane said that the villain for Punisher 2 would be Jigsaw. So right away that, the wheels were in motion, ladies and gentlemen. He said that the studio was interested in making a sequel based on the successful DVD sales of The Punisher, and was developing the preliminary budget for the follow-up. In March of 2005, Marvel Studios announced a 2006 release date for The Punisher 2. In April, Lionsgate CEO confirmed that, the studio had completed its deal to develop Punisher 2. And in July, Arad revealed that the script was being rewritten. The sequel would start filming within the year. So let me get this straight. In July of 2005, you had no script, but you had a release date. This is a thing that I find problematic with studios. Not just back then, but even nowadays, today, especially around superhero movies. We have no script, we have no set, no story, no nothing. But we have a release date. Sure, we have a director we would like to sign. We have an actor, but we don't have a release date. We haven't cast a main villain. We haven't cast supporting characters, we haven't done location scouting or any of that. We didn't even have a budget, but we have a release date. That's just so cart before the horse. It's just Oh, man. That's like buying a spare tire before you buy a car. Just, what are you doing? You don't even have a car. What you buying tires for? Like, anyway, moving on. Whew. By July, Thomas Jane had put on an additional 12 pounds of muscle and was hoping filming would start in late 2006. Right away, delays, man. Delays. You know, the dreaded delays. In March of 2006, The Punisher 2 was announced to be produced in Louisiana in the domestic charter under Louisiana's Secretary of State. Ah, man. Thomas Jane said that the writer was halfway through the draft and that he believed filming would begin by February of 2007. Jane confirmed that the villain Jigsaw, first announced in April of 2004, would be in the film. He also said that director Jonathan Hensley would not be returning to direct the sequel. In addition, Lionsgate, amidst the studios returning to New Orleans, announced that Punisher 2 would begin filming that year. Where have we heard that before? In October, Jane said that the script was due in a couple weeks and that it would be darker, bloodier, and more unfriendly than the first one. In December, the screenplay was being rewritten by screenwriter Stuart Beattie. It was announced that Kurt Sutter, a writer for The Shield, was involved with the script for The Punisher 2. Sutter said that he had an enjoyable time writing the script for the sequel, and it was going to be very true to the character. In a separate interview, Thomas Jane revealed that a new script had been turned in, and everyone was hoping it would work out, as the lack of a good script had been holding up production. He further stated that if everything goes as planned, then filming should begin in June or July. But shortly afterward, in a letter to Ain't It Cool News, Jane wrote the following. What I won't do is spend months of my life sweating over a movie that I just don't believe in. I've always loved the Marvel guys and wish them well. Meanwhile, I'll continue to search for a film that one day might stand with all those films that the fans have asked me to watch. So yeah, various delays, script changes, rewrites, directors dropping out, and the lead actor losing interest in the project. Well, because of lackluster script and constant delays, Punisher wasn't off to a good start in the early 2000s. But that would all change, man, at around 2007. Around 2007. In July On July 21, it was announced that Ray Stevenson would play the Punisher in the sequel to the 2004 film. Filming was slated to begin in October 2007 in Montreal. Prior to filming, Stevenson read every available issue of Punisher Max, underwent endurance, martial arts, and weapons training with former recon Marines, and film fight choreographer Pat Johnson. In August, the film's working title was Welcome Back, Frank. However, on August 28, Lionsgate would announce that the new working title for the movie would be Punisher Warzone. See, Welcome Back, Frank exists. Yeah, I know this. Welcome Back, Frank exists. It's a pretty solid comic. It's, I think it's the one where chronicles his time in, actually, I don't know. I don't actually know what Welcome Back, Frank is. But I do know that there is a Punisher story, a really good one, mind you, where Punisher, not the Punisher, he's still Frank back then. He's still just Frank Castle, and he was out in the war zone, and he was fighting, I think it was about Vietnam, I guess. And, he was killing men. He killed many men. He was very effective at what he did. And it just changed him as a person. It was when he got back home, he thought I don't know, the war came with him, essentially. He wasn't who he was when he left. He was changed, and the war never truly, it's like what, what's his name? Rambo said at the end of the first movie, nothing is over. You don't just, like Trotman said, the war is over, and Rambo just said, nothing's over. You don't just turn it off. And the war, in the Castle's case, followed him home. Because while it wasn't the enemy combatants he was fighting, they returned to mobsters and so on. But yeah, I just wanted to spotlight that good story. Anyway, moving on. The Punisher will be called Punisher Warzone. Yeah, the director announced cast members joining Stevenson would be Dash Mihawk as Detective Martin Soap, Colin Salmon as Agent Paul Budiansky. You might recognize him from Resident Evil. Yeah, he's the guy who got turned into Swiss cheese by those lasers. And Doug Hutchinson as Looney Bin Jim. You may remember him as the bad guy from the Jamie Foxx movie Bait. Yeah. Okay, moving on. September 25, via Hollywood Reporter, Dominic West was announced to star as the main antagonist Jigsaw, with Wayne Knight playing Punisher's armorer, Microchip. Patty Considine was considered for the role of Jigsaw in the film, but the offer was retracted and given to West, who had previously turned it down. Funny enough, Freddie Prinze Jr. also auditioned for the role, but was refused by Lionsgate, accepting the part. What an interesting movie that would have been. Freddie Prinze Jr., Scooby-Doo, that guy, Freddie Prinze Jr. rocking up and being all scarred and everything as Billy the Beaut. That would have been an interesting film. Granted, it wouldn't have been the movie we got, but who knows? Who knows what it could have been. Moving on. Filming began in Montreal. Yeah. Filming occurred from October 22 until December 14 in Montreal, with principal photography wrapping up on December 27. The film itself was set for a release date of September 12, 2008, but was pushed back by 3 months to December 5. A teaser trailer released on June 12, 2008. On July 25, Harry Knowles wrote an article claiming that Lexi Alexander had been removed as the film's director. A second trailer was revealed to the public at San Diego Comic-Con on that same day. The director did not make an appearance at the convention, would cause speculation among the fans to question whether her name had been taken off the film. August 15, Latino Review reported that Lionsgate would edit the film down so that it would be able to receive a PG rating. However, the director of photography later claimed that the film will in fact be rated R, and that Lexi Alexander was still on board with the project. In October 3, IGN would confirm that she had not been fired from the project based on an official statement released by Lionsgate. Here is something that Lexi Alexander had to say about the project. My name was never off, nor would I want it taken off, nor did I ever get a pink slip. The truth is, we had probably the same discussions that any other film has. Despite the much publicized discourse, Alexander says she's extremely happy with the final film. It came at a price, I would say, but I made the film I wanted on the screen. I think, personally, in my opinion, it would have been very dangerous to put a compromise on the screen for my own career, and for the promises I made to these actors who I talked into joining the film. I don't really care that it was an uphill battle. I'm glad with what's on screen. In 2015, Lexi Alexander regretted Lionsgate control over the film, resulting in the film's quality, stating, Marvel was an equal partner, but unfortunately, when there were creative decision conflicts, Marvel would let Lionsgate be the tiebreaker. I always regretted that I made a movie this way, because 99% of the notes were much better than the studios, and I was more in tune with them. She also noted that she did not have final cut privilege over the film. And there is the background. We now know the tumultuous road that led to the movie that we are about to go into. The casting of Ray Stevenson, the kind of training he underwent. Very similar to, but to, it was similar to, but to a different degree to the training that Thomas Jane underwent to in order to be the Punisher, as told by their various physiques. Ray Stevenson is this big walking tank of a man, and granted, Thomas Jane in 2004 was no slouch, but there are two different types of Punisher, two different body types, and it's more, how do I explain this? If Thomas Jane was the Humvee, then Ray Stevenson was an APC. Yeah, like a Humvee and an APC, if I had to compare the two. But yeah, they both do damage, they both military weapons, but they have different styles about them, different purposes behind their use, and yeah. I still prefer Thomas Jane's Punisher, I'm gonna say that much. He, to me, played, let me say this, it was, I'll dive into it later on, but yeah, that's just what I felt. Now we know the background, and yeah, we are now gonna dive into the movie. Now you have the background of the film, and now we're gonna dive into it in 3, 2, 1. Alright, well, now we get into the actual nitty-gritty of Punisher's war in New York City, right here. The film in some places feels more like a spiritual sequel to the first movie that came out back in 2004 than, it's just its own standalone thing. People like to treat it like it's its own standalone thing, but it's not. It's a sequel, not a direct sequel, but it's a spiritual sequel, kind of like how Incredible Hulk, when you look at it, when you watch Incredible Hulk movie and the Hulk 2003 movie back to back, they're kind of, they have the same connective tissue. Let me say that they're not brothers, but they're cousins. Yeah, they're cousins. They're the same but different. They're the same but not exactly. Let me just say that. Yeah. Or like how 300 had 300 Rise of an Empire, except that was an inferior successor to the first movie. So, but this ain't that, man. This is it's not better than the first movie, but it's right up there. It's good. It's a level of quality that goes up. But yeah, anyway, moving into it, that first movie focuses more on the origin of the character as well as being more of a Frank Castle movie than a Punisher movie. That's how I look at it. The first movie was the origin of the character and, establishing who Frank Castle was before he became the Punisher. But this movie, since that's already been established, and it does give glimpses of Punisher's origin, but this movie largely is a Punisher movie for most of it, because Frank is Punisher for like 95% of the film. There's a few scenes, like where he's, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm yammering on right here, but yeah, works in his favor because it lets the dude be the Punisher the entire film. Ray Stevenson in this film is amazing casting. The dude is the Punisher. Look at the Punisher in Punisher Warzone, like the cover with him standing with a machine gun, and tell me that they don't just look alike. That is him. They're done. Like, dude, I can't believe how comic accurate this casting is. How perfect it is. Like, at that point, the casting hadn't been. Thing is, in superhero movies, the casting had been hit or miss. Like, there was no painfully obviously bad casting choice. I mean, there was Jennifer Garner in Elektra, but she made the role changed the role enough that you could kind of let it slide, but at the same time, it's like, no, I don't buy it. But like, that was like from my perspective, that was the first superhero movie casting choice that was just bad all around. Well, okay, scratch that. That was the first Marvel superhero movie casting choice that was bad all around. And yeah, otherwise, this was nailed it. This nailed it, man. This wasn't Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or X-Men, but like in terms of Punisher, Ray Stevenson nailed this role. It has got to be like the first time the guy who was cast didn't become the character as if he was ripped straight from the comics. He was that guy from the jump. Just looking at him, it's like they ripped Frank Castle from these pages and put him out here in live action. Yeah. In this film, the Punisher isn't so much an anti-hero as he is an anti-villain going after other villains, albeit with a dark sense of humor about it. I mean, he blows a guy out with there's a scene where these McGinty and the Urban Free Flow gang are like parkouring through the streets and running along rooftops and doing all kinds of flips and whatever. So McGinty flips over, and the second guy goes to do a flip, and as he's turning into land, a rocket comes out of nowhere and boom, blows him to smithereens. And McGinty looks and like, what the? And you just see Frank Castle standing there like, oh, hey, McGinty, how's it going? Just give me a moment while I grab this machine gun here. Like, he's just so casually and nonchalantly looking at him like deep down. He's not, when you look at his face, he's not smiling, but deep down, you'd have to figure he was like, got him. Yeah. That was good. That was it. That was funny. That was hilarious, man. Like, I don't know if that was designed to be funny, but hot damn, it was funny. But yeah. Anyway, the movie isn't grim and gritty all the time, as the character of Soap, Detective Soap, does add some comic relief to things, especially in his interactions with Budiansky. So yeah, there's the movie basically kicks off like this. Punisher's doing his thing. There's this mob party. There's this mob family that's hosting a dinner, and the Punisher shows up, kills all the mobsters, kills all their guys, and pieces out. But he doesn't kill everybody. Billy the Butte is still there. I mean, he managed to escape Punisher's wrath narrowly. He goes down to this docks, and the movie establishes how the police react to a guy like Frank Castle. The last movie didn't do. There are some things that this movie does that the last movie doesn't. For starters, it opens up the world of Frank Castle. It shows what a New York that's had Frank Castle running around for several years would react like realistically. There would be people who are all for his vigilantism, and there would be people who are absolutely against it and want nothing to do with it. Like, absolutely want him behind bars or put down. Just there's the point with this woman, the widow of the man that Frank kills, asks him, "Who punishes you? Like, who punishes the Punisher?" And that's a really good question. The answer to which, when you think about it, who punishes the Punisher? It's right up there with who watches the Watchmen. But like in this context, who punishes the Punisher? And in the context of the film, the way it's shown, it's that Frank punishes himself. Who judges and condemns the Punisher for his actions outside of, God? It's Punisher himself, like Frank himself, when he has to remember the thing that started us all, the death of his family. And there's this, how I really like what this movie does when it shows Frank's origin. Like, yeah, we get a little bit of exposition when Budiansky asks about the Punisher, like, hey, when did this all start? Show me these Punisher case files. And then we see, like, we don't see his family get killed, but we see, like, the aftermath. We see Frank covered in blood, just eyes watering. He's just like, tears streaming down his face, and he's sitting amidst the dead bodies of his family. It's ripped straight from the comics. Whereas the first movie departed from that. I mean, it maintained aspects of that, but like it was a departure because instead of just his wife and children, like his whole family died in that movie. But in this one, it's terrible. It's like, it's in some ways, it's more graphic in a way because he's sitting there covered in their blood and his blood, and he's just broken, man. He's like, it really nails in the point of Frank Castle is dead. He died with his family. Like, all there is the Punisher, the man who was behind that, behind the symbol, died years ago. He's all Punisher all the time, with only a few fleeting moments where he's able to show his humanity, and those are only in the interactions between the widow and the little girl. And there's those parallels between his, wife and child, and this woman and her child. Granted, at one point during the script writing process, there was initially talks to have a love interest for Frank, but like that would have gone counter to everything, especially like him mourning the loss of his family. So giving him a love interest just, yeah, it undoes him like still, remembering his family. So yeah, I'm glad they didn't go through with that. And the widow is just a grieving widow. She still very much loves her husband, and she has no interest in macking up with Punisher, but she still provides those parallels between his wife and the wife of her. So because in another life, another time, this could have easily been his widow, because this dude was also an agent in the field and his work got him killed one day. So had Frank continued to be like FBI or CIA or whatever he was, this could have easily just been him. Easily been him who died, his widow and everything. So it shows in that regard. But yeah, I'm going on about this one point too much. So yeah. In regards to Budiansky, there's a moment where Budiansky, like Soap comes in to back up Budiansky, who's being shot at by this mobster. He's like, I'm here. And he's kind of a klutz, so Budiansky just is like, give me a damn gun. It's like, you cannot back me up. Give me the gun, I'll back myself up. And he pulls both guns and he's able to like fend off the gangsters. And once he's got them, like dead to rights, he's got their guns pointed at him, like, hands in the air. And they surrender. Like, Soap stands up next to him, totally unarmed. He's like, yeah, we got him. And like, Budiansky asked him, can you explain to me how the Punisher got out of your locked police car? And Soap was like, hey, that Punisher, he's very slippery. Yeah, we don't just see like the negativity people would have of a vigilante killing criminals. We also see the idea that there are some people on the force who are for what the Punisher does. Like the one guy that Soap is partnered with at the beginning of the movie, he says that what Punisher does to the mobsters, they can only dream of. But, yeah, at some point there would be those, so as Jim Gordon said in The Dark Knight, a point where the structures fail and the rules aren't, um, they're not shackles there aren't weapons anymore, they're shackles. And in this world, that's kind of what's happened, because there was this whole speech that Thomas Jane's Punisher had in the first movie about how, when the law in some places is inadequate, and in order to showcase its inadequacy, true justice has to be, you need to exercise true justice. Basically, you need to not, yeah, you need to show true justice. You need to take the law into your own hands sometimes, not always, but sometimes. And that's kind of what the Punisher has done. It shows like the cops are pretty not ineffective, but like they're a non-factor largely throughout the movie. We know that, yes, there are police in this world, but we rarely, if ever, see them policing, except in certain sections. But even in those sections, it's mostly like FBI showing up. But yeah, this world is definitely different from the one. It's not Miami. It's not sun-soaked and, tropical and colorful. It's dark and grimy and gritty. So it's basically Gotham if there was no Batman. Yeah. But anyway, moving on. Going on, the main villain of the movie, Jigsaw. Yeah, is Billy the Beaut until he has a run-in with the Punisher at this recycling factory. He falls into a vat full of glass. Punisher turns it on and he gets all cut up. He's disfigured. Ultimately, his face is repaired through surgery, but there's not a lot to work with. So yeah, his face isn't fully repaired to what it used to be. It's pieced together similar to one would piece together a jigsaw. Thus, he picks the name Jigsaw, not because just of how he sees his face, but in this movie, in the comics, he calls himself Jigsaw because his face has been pieced together and it kind of resembles a jigsaw puzzle, and it's just that. In this movie, he comes up with the name Jigsaw because he looks across the street and he sees an ad for jigsaw puzzles. That's it. If you were going to get him his name from an ad, it would make more sense if he looked across the street and you saw an ad for a Saw movie. That is also a Lionsgate property, if I'm not mistaken. Couldn't you do that? Couldn't you have Jigsaw, the dude who's going to call himself Jigsaw, look across the street, see an ad for an upcoming Saw movie, which I'm guessing at this point would be Saw 4, but I'm not 100% on that, so I'm just gonna, I'm guessing it would probably be Saw 4 by now. So he sees, I don't know, the Jigsaw doll or something, just something that, it would probably be Saw 3. See an ad for like the Saw movie and go, call me Jigsaw. And rather than trying to shy away from his disfigurement, he actually leans into it, which is kind of undercut later in the movie when he walks past the mirror. And, because at the beginning of the movie, they establish who this guy is. He's narcissistic, and he's a villain. He's a bad dude. Because the moment he walks into frame, he comes in the frame. The first thing you see him do is stop to, adjust his appearance in the mirror. And the moment his girl touches his hair, the girl he's with touches his hair, he, turns around, grabs her by the throat, and goes, "Do I fix your makeup for you?" And he just leaves me. So right away we know, yes, this dude is really into his appearance. And the third thing we know is he's not a good guy. But yeah, calls himself Jigsaw. He breaks out his brother out of jail, LBJ, aka Looney Bin Jim. So then they go on this plan to recover money that was stolen from them. And in the process, after recovering, a lot goes on. See, Punisher kills a bunch of people at this factory. He finds out one of the people he killed was an undercover agent, and it kind of shuts him down for a moment. Like he doesn't want a Punisher anymore, because he killed a cop. He killed a good dude. Thing is, Michael tries to explain, you didn't know, dude. That was a freak accident. That could have happened. I mean, just, the fact that, I mean, I get it. Like, Frank never set out to kill innocent people. His mission was solely to kill criminals and mobsters. The people that justice, slip through the cracks, those people. When he caps an innocent person, even by mistake, it would understandably, like, rock him to his core. Like, man, like, yeah, but this is just one guy. And it wasn't like you killed an innocent person knowingly. You killed him by mistake. You didn't know he was an innocent guy. From your perspective, he was just a mobster. Just another mobster. Like, if you didn't find that wire, you probably wouldn't have known. For all you know, he might not have. I mean, if you didn't. If they didn't release a statement or anything on him, you could have thought he was just an informant. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I get it. He just doesn't want to be the Punisher anymore for a bit, but Micro tries to tell him, like, hey man, you can't just quit. We need you. This city needs you. The criminals, the mob and them, they're still out there. There's still people out there that need to be stopped. If you don't do it, and the cops can't do it, who will, man? We need you. Whether like it or not, we need the Punisher. The city needs the Punisher. And he's having none of it until he, it gets through to him that though his actions could cause Jigsaw and his brother and their gang, what's left of his gang, to go after the widow and her kid. So it's like, okay, I created this mess and I need to clean this up. But after that, I'm gone. Just that's what he says. But, we don't know that for sure. As far as we know, he just goes back to Punishering after this. But yeah. The movie, well, let's be real. This movie is more villain than hero, because the Punisher has his moments. He has his very good moments throughout the film. Like, it's the one where he visits his gravesite and he's reminded of his, like, wife and children's death as he's trying to, like, clear away. He's, like, trying to wipe away the headstone, and he's just pounding against it. And you can feel just this man being overwhelmed by this emotion, because it makes sense that he's Punisher all the time. If he's Punisher all the time, he doesn't have to feel this. He doesn't have to think of this. But now that he's here at this gravesite, he can't really be the Punisher here. Like, the Frank Castle has bubbled back to the surface, and all those emotions that he's felt about his family bubbled back with him, and he's feeling them all right there in that moment. Looking at the gravesite, it's probably been a while since he'd been here. It's probably been a while since he's had to think about it, and all his emotions would probably hit him like, like, I don't know, they would hit him like a wave. But yeah, Ray Stevenson, man, I give props to Ray Stevenson. He nailed this role. He really killed it in this role. I'm bummed we didn't get to see more of him. I mean, we got that one little role in Marvel Superhero Squad, which is pretty funny. But other than that, yeah. Dominic West as Jigsaw is way up there. Since the Punisher is a pretty subdued protagonist, he's like a no-nonsense, stern guy. He doesn't even crack one-liners. So, this guy, obviously, if you have a stoic lead, you need a villain who's really up there. So Dominic West and LBJ really bring that part, because they're extra as hell, like way up there. They're like, I mean, LBJ is throwing himself into mirrors, and Jigsaw is this scene where he's like scary, like he's looking through the house and he's interrogating the mother, trying to interrogate the mother to find out where his money is. And she says, I swear to God, I don't know where he is. He like kneels down next to the little girl and goes, how about you, little girl? Would you also like to swear to an imaginary friend? Like, that was kind of funny. This movie isn't a comedy, but it has moments of unintentional humor in it. I was like, and it works that way. It's pretty good. It's good. Unintentional humor off the charts in this one. But yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? This film going on, so it all leads to this big showdown. Oh wait, before I get there, there's this other funny scene. There's two scenes that are really funny. I don't know if they were designed to be, but they are really funny. There's a scene where Frank Castle is like, he just saved Budiansky. He's got the girl on his arm, like the little girl. He's carrying her. He's pointing the sawed-off shotgun at this dude, and Budiansky's going to arrest him. And the guy, like, he's like, all right, I'll come quietly. as Budiansky goes to arrest him. You know, he puts his gun back, goes to arrest him. Boom! Punisher blows this dude's head off, and then Budiansky's like, God damn it, Castle! Like, just... oh, jeez. It's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. Along with earlier in that same scene, like the Punisher sneaks into the house as this one guy is like about to snort some cocaine. He pushes him up against the wall, punches him right in the face so hard that his face just caves in and becomes mush. Like, what the hell? What is this? What? Like, if you're that freaking strong, you should never lose a fight, like, ever. Nobody should be a threat at this point. If you're that strong, then damn, man. Why do you bother shooting people if you're that freaking strong? Just, like, become a boxer or something. Or join the UFC at this point. Like, it's 2008. I think they'd be good. Oh, this movie. Anyway, it all leads to this big showdown at this empty building that Jigsaw and his brother have taken over, filled with a bunch of gangs, and Punisher mows his way through them. It's like a video game almost. Like CinemaSins actually like compares it to a video game, but when Punisher kills this guy in an elevator and says, "Oh, that guy was an optional thing, you know, you could have skipped him entirely." And some video games, there are optional bosses you don't have to fight. You can skip them entirely if you just go along a certain way on the map. Yeah. Oh, but anyway, so oof, man, this showdown happens. And there's a moment. Oh yeah. What was I saying? The hero. There's a cliche here. A hero has to choose which person to save. Normally in this situation, the hero finds a way to save them both. Like in Spider-Man, when Green Goblin had Mary Jane in one hand and like this cable car full of children in the other, and he let both go. And it was up to Spider-Man to choose which one to save. And he managed to save them both. Oh, Batman and Robin, when Batman has to decide whether to save Robin or Chase Meridian. Is it Chase Meridian? I think, yeah, it's Chase Meridian. And he winds up saving them both. It's only in movies the hero winds up saving both of them somehow. In this movie, Frank, this is a dark and gritty crime story. The hero, in this case, okay, let me scratch that. Not hero, protagonist has there's no way he can save them both because the villain, Jigsaw, and his brother, they both have guns. One gun is on Micro, the other gun is on the woman and a child. He has to decide which of them to save because he has a gun that only has one bullet left. He can only kill one of these brothers. Whoever's left is... No, wait. They said he has to sacrifice one of them. If he kills one, the other lives. And ultimately, Punisher decides to sacrifice Micro because he killed... what's his name? Yeah, LBJ. Looney Bin Jim. He kills him, and then Jigsaw kills Micro. Then Frank kills Jigsaw in... To provide some backstory on this, Jigsaw in the comics is the closest thing Frank has to a nemesis. Because the thing is, Frank Castle is Batman who kills. If I can't really describe it as anything else. He's Batman who kills. Or Deathstroke without the swords. You know, like, he kills all his villains, so he doesn't have a recurring nemesis. Other than mostly Jigsaw. Jigsaw is that guy in the comics. He's a recurring nemesis for the Punisher. And he's so, like, not enigmatic, but like so synchronic, or like so tied with the Punisher that when they made the Punisher video game inspired by the movie for the PS2, they had Jigsaw as the main villain, and there was just, you know, he's that far, like way back in 2004, like they knew the next movie Jigsaw's gonna be the main guy. In the video game, Jigsaw's gonna be the main guy because he's Punisher's main antagonist, like how Spider-Man has Green Goblin. And, you know, Iron Man has... What's that guy's name? The Mandarin, yeah. Iron Man has the Mandarin. He's the Punisher's nemesis, but in this movie, he's just a guy. Him and Punisher don't even interact more than once. They interact, like, once in the movie. When he disfigures him, and the second time they properly interact is when he kills him. Like, that's it. And the actual fight that they have is less than 3 minutes. Frank absolutely bodies Jigsaw. There's not even a moment where he's in any danger. The guy's brother, Looney Bin Jim, puts up more of a fight. And, it shows like the Frank Castle as this moving tank of a man, this big figure who could punch through walls if he wanted to, isn't as agile as LBJ, and that's how he's able to get, an upper hand on him. But, Frank doesn't do anything different. I think, Russelltron, when he was discussing this film in his review, stated that Frank doesn't do anything different. He just gets better. He just suddenly able to grab the guy. Thing is, I disagree. Not that Frank doesn't do anything. I watched that scene back, and Frank does do something. He's not trying to swing and punch the guy. He realized he can't punch a guy he can't land a blow on a guy moving faster than him. So he needs to grab him first. So when he does, then he's like tossing the dude all over the place, throwing him into stuff and slamming him everywhere. He's actually, using his brute force to the advantage. He can't shoot his way through every problem, but damn if he's not gonna smash his way through every problem. Well, this kind of problem. So yeah, forcing the guy to run back to his brother, James, and as he's running, he goes, James, gun. That is, I remember CinemaSins made a joke about when the guy said, James, gun. He's like, would have been a better director for this movie. And at the time, yeah, I don't know about that, man. I don't know. Because he did Slither, and Slither was really good, but he also did that one movie where the guy from, I think his name Dwight from The Office, the guy who has the flesh mask, that guy is a superhero, and that Kevin Bacon's in it, and that movie's not that great. I don't know if you want that guy directing this kind of movie. The guy who directed Slither, hell yeah, let's bring him on board. He would have made a better director for this movie. I'm not dissing Lexi Alexander, but man, it would have been dope if we could have gotten James Gunn up in here. Anyway, but yeah, all that to one side. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So yeah, the decision happens. LBJ gets shot, and dude, Frank just bodies Billy the Beard. Absolutely stabs him. He throws him in a pile of flames. There's no moment where he's in any danger. The dude's brother was more of a threat than him. Jigsaw in the comics was a recurring nemesis for the Punisher. There was moments where it genuinely seemed like, damn, he might have his number in this one in the comics, but in this movie, he's more of an inconvenience than anything. Realistically, he would be. Frank is some special forces dude, and ex-special forces or whatever. And, Jigsaw, in the context, is just a mob guy. He would not last hand-to-hand against the Punisher. Realistically, he wouldn't. So, yeah, I give the movie points for realism, but damn, dude. Way to rob us of a final fight. I guess the movie's final fight was the fight between Punisher and, Looney Bin Jim, but other than that, yeah. Anyway, overall, I liked it. The movie ends with Punisher. He killed him. He killed the guy, and he gets the little girl and the mom to safety with Budiansky, who drives off with them. And Soap is walks away with Frank. Is yeah, it's kind of like he was gonna get him help. And as he's walking, Soap just starts going on and on. And it's this another movie cliche where a character goes on and on, not realizing that the person they were talking to is gone. But then a guy tries to mug Soap. And I'm just thinking, wait, ain't you a cop? Because Soap is oh, are you kidding me, man? And because do I look like I'm freaking kidding? But I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, Soap, ain't you a cop? Don't you have a gun? Did Budiansky not give you your gun back? Why are you standing oh man, are you kidding me? The guy has a knife. Shoot him. Or, I don't know, show your badge. Something. Don't stand there being Frank. Frank, where are you? Because, at the top of the stairs, Frank hasn't gone anywhere. He just, realistically, when someone talks and then the person realizes it's gone, the person they were talking to hasn't apparated into thin air. Another point for realism, Frank probably just disappeared around a bush somewhere. And then when he heard like dude is getting like mugged, he pulls his gun and the lights go out. The lights start to dim on the movie. It gets darker and darker and darker. And in the background, there's this sign, this cross that says Jesus saves. As the film gets darker and darker and darker, the word Jesus fades out and the word saves is left. And all we can see is the word saves and the Punisher logo. And then bang! Cut to black. Yeah, the movie's trying to say Punisher saves. Because in a way, when he killed that guy, he did, not in a way, but yeah, he saved Soap's life on that one. So yeah, that was the movie. That was Punisher Warzone. Yeah, 7 out of 10. That is a 7 out of 10 Punisher skulls. Yeah, 7 out of 10 skulls on that one, man. That was a good movie. The visuals of it, I'll give props to. The unintentional humor, the hard R territory of it, I'll give props to that, because superhero movies back then, especially once the MCU got rolling, just wanted to shy as far away from that as possible. I give it guts for trying to, for going there, for realizing this is a kind of story that needs that, and for not trying to trim it down to PG-13. So yeah, that was my review. That was a Moonlight Kingdom review on Punisher Warzone, ladies and gentlemen. A 7 out of 10 movie. So yeah, this has been Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's okay.
Always feel like I could break now, but I never let it take me to that place now. I won't ever let my thoughts get away now. I got better things to do, picking fate now. I just wanna be the best, call me great now. I don't know if I'm okay or insane now. I remember better days on the playground, hoping I can find my way even when I'm feeling down. I fight, even when I don't know what is right. I'ma pick a side, and I'ma take pride. I will decide my fate, and I will never let them tell me who I am. If you try to shake me, I'll be damned. Planet on the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.